Good evening, class. Welcome to uh, the third topic of research methods. That is classifying different types of research and research designs. And the introduction that I want to give before we continue is that the reason as to why we learn about the different types of research and research designs is because not every research can fit in any design. Not every research can fit in every type. So when you are given an assignment, maybe in your place of work or wherever, you need to know which type of a research is this, and what design can I apply for this particular type of research, because not all can fit anywhere. So you need to know which one fits where. So the first one that we are looking for is classification by approach. Classification by approach, and we look at two approaches, which is qualitative research and quantitative research. Now, when you're thinking about qualitative research, we're saying that it includes techniques and measures that do not produce discrete numerical data. This is, you're actually dealing with qualitative data. And when you're dealing with qualitative data, you think about your observation, you think about participant observations, or the interview method of interview. This is where you describe exactly the phenomena. You can say it is light, it is heavy, it is pink, it is green. You're simply describing through a story of of how that phenomena is. Compared to quantitative research design, which is saying that it includes designs and techniques and measures that produce discrete numerical or quantifiable data. Basically, what you mean is that any data that you're collecting under quantitative has to have numerals in it. It has to have figures. For example, you're thinking about how many kgs, how many centimeters, how much money were you paid. So you're actually collecting data that is measurable, that is numerical, that is in a quantifiable, that is quantifiable data compared to a qualitative one. So that is classification by approach. Then we go to the second one, which is classification by purpose. When you're thinking about classification by purpose, then you think about two types, which is basic, pure, or fundamental research, and applied research. When you're thinking about basic research, we are saying here that you're generally focusing on new knowledge so that you are able to expand the theories that you know. It does not consider the practical application of the findings to actual problems or situation. So when you're dealing with a pure, just like the way the name suggests, basic and fundamental and pure, it could actually be a very new research that you're actually trying to explore. You're trying to get new knowledge from that kind of a research. So it's a research that has not been done again. For example, we can think about the research that was done about COVID-19. It was, to many of us, COVID-19 was actually a new phenomena. So when people were going to research about it, they were thinking this is a pure research because they did not have so much comparison. But if you do that research today, then it's no longer a pure research because then it has already been researched. The other one under purpose is applied research. We are saying it is conducted for the purpose of applying or testing theories, evaluating its usefulness in solving problems. So it provides data to support a theory or guide a theory revision or suggest the development of a new theory. So when you're thinking about applied research, you are actually testing a theory. You're actually trying to test this theory to find out how far has it developed. Are there new issues to do with that theory? Is there anything else that can be added? How useful is it? So that is under classification by purpose. We have basic and applied research. Another one under purpose is called action research. Action research, we're saying it is conducted with the primary intention of solving a specific, immediate, and a concrete problem. in a local setting. So maybe somebody is investigating about shortage of water in a certain area. So this kind of research is actually results oriented. You really want to come up with a solution for that particular problem. So you are trying to get to solve that particular problem. It is immediate, and actually has happened in a local setting. And so that's why you need to really get to the bottom of it and get results for that problem. The number 4 under classification by purpose is called evaluation research. We are saying it's a method of investigation that involves collection and analysis of data, either quantitative or qualitative, to assess projects or programs. It is process of determining whether the intended results were realized. So this is an evaluation research. Maybe you have already done this research. You are going back to evaluate to see, when you carried out this research, what were your objectives? Were the objectives met? What problem were you trying to solve? Was it sorted? Did you come up with a solution? So you're actually going back to assess that research or that project to see whether you are able to get the intended results. Because there are so many researches that are carried out, but when you go back to look at it, you're wondering, did we actually solve this problem? Did we get to the bottom of it? So evaluation research is carried out. So the other category is classification by method of analysis, how you actually analyze the data. And under a classification by method of analysis, we are looking at the first one, which is causal comparative research. Causal comparative research. And actually, just like the name suggests, that name actually helps you to think about the method of analysis. So it is used to explore relationships between variables, the reasons and the causes, just like the way the name suggests. Causal comparative research. It determines the reasons or causes for the current state of the phenomena under study. So you are actually going to find that, for example, if you're talking about high labor turnover, what are the reasons and what are the causes? Because remember, we said that the reason as to why you're doing this research is because you want to sort a particular problem. So you are going to explore whether there's a relationship. Maybe some people are talking about, let's say, when it comes to the issue of high labor turnover, somebody can talk about, low salaries and all that. Another person can talk about leadership. Another person can talk issues to do with motivation. So you are actually going to the field to find, is there a relationship between leadership and high labor turnover? Could it be the cause? So you are actually trying to compare and to find the cause. Number 2 is descriptive research. This is a scientific method of investigation that involves collection and analysis of quantitative data in order to determine the current status of the phenomena. You are trying to determine the status of the phenomena. And how do you determine? Through using this scientific method called descriptive. From the word describe, you're describing by who, when, how, what. For example, if you're thinking about, let's say, high labor turnover in ABC company, for example, you're thinking about who is involved in high labor turnover or who has been affected. Which department has been affected most? Is it IT? Is it accounting? Is it procurement? Which department has been affected most? Then you're also thinking about how are people exiting? Has somebody asked for a leave of absence? Has somebody just resigned? How are they exiting? When did it happen? Maybe, let's say, towards the end of last year, between September to December, that's when we had so many resignations compared maybe to January, February this year. So when did it happen? So who is involved? Which department? How are they doing it? So you are trying to describe the phenomena, how it is happening, so that somebody studying about that research will be able to understand how, what, when, and even who is involved. The last one under correlation or research, we are saying that it's a scientific method of investigation which involves collection and analysis of quantitative data with the purpose of determining relationships between variables And here, we not only think about relationships between the variables, but we also want to determine to what extent. For example, you may wonder what is the difference between causal comparative research and correlational research. Causal comparative research, like we had said, we are trying to find out, is there a relationship between high labor turnover and low salaries? So that we say, or low wages, so that we say, because we have low wages, that is why we have high labor turnover. Or because we have poor leadership, that is why we have high labor turnover. But correlational research goes to an extent of finding out if there are multiple variables that are contributing to high labor turnover. One of them could be poor leadership. Another one could be lack of motivation. Another one could be low salaries and wages. Somebody would want to find out among these three, which one is contributing to this problem the most? Which one is contributing to high labor turnover more than all the others? Is it poor leadership? Is it lack of motivation? Is it low salaries? Because if you present your recommendation or your conclusion to whoever has given you that assignment, to the top management, they would want to find out what do we start with? Is it leadership? Is it motivation? Is it the issues to do with salaries and wages? And you can imagine if you don't have a lot of money at that time, you may want to deal with the most critical or the one that is affecting the workers the most, then sort others as you continue getting finances. So like for our case here, we can see lack of motivation has actually contributed 70%. So the top management would want to know, how can we motivate our workers so that we curb or we stop the problem of high labor turnover? Then after that, they will concentrate on poor leadership because it is contributing 20%. And then after that, they work on low salaries. Classification by type is another a classification that you're going to look at just now. And one of them is historical research. What do we mean by historical research? It involves, or rather it's a study of a problem that requires collecting information from the past in order to detect the trends and give meaning to the past or occurrences in the future or the current ones. So when you think about historical research, you are simply collecting data from the past. For example, maybe somebody would want to look at how the electioneering period has been. Maybe for the last 10 elections that were done in the country from 2022, 2017, 2013, they go all the way. So they will be collecting data from the past so that they are able to detect the trends in 2027. What do we need to be aware of? What has been happening in the past and is likely to happen again in 2027, for example, when we'll have our next election. So that guides us, that helps us to know. Or it could be a company. Let's say there's an issue of fraud that has been occurring in the company. So the many researches that have been done in the past will help us to mitigate against those occurrences in future. So historical research is very important. Then number 2 is experimental research. You're saying that this is a scientific method of investigation which involves collection, analysis of quantitative data to establish cause-effect relationships amongst the variables. So this is another kind of a research that is experimental in nature. You are trying to find out, what if I do this, what will happen? So it is a cause and effect kind of a relationship. You are trying to find out the relationships between variables. If you do this, what happens? If you don't do this, what happens? So cause and effect relationship among variables. Then the other one is case study, which is a method of investigation that involves in-depth collection and analysis of data to determine the characteristics of a unit, such as an individual, a group, or an organization. So this is also another classification by type, where you're trying to find out, you're trying to study a problem, but in a case study form. And I know you have so many researches that you have found, maybe effect of high labor turnover, a case study of this and this hospital, a case study of this and this bank, a case study of this and this university. What you are doing, you want to study about high labor turnover, but not for every other university or every other hospital, but you have a particular case in mind. ABC company, for example, or St. Paul's University. So you want to go into the depth of collecting data for, let's say, that organization alone. Study it, analyze the data, and from there you are able to determine or come up with a solution. So we are saying a case study, it helps because you go to the depth. You are just concentrating on one organization. So you go to the depth of it. You are able to unearth all the issues maybe about high labor turnover for that particular organization. And you're able to come up with findings that can help in improving the state of high labor turnover, so that you find workers getting retained, workers who are not in a hurry to exit, and so on. And then also classification by type is a survey research, studies large and small populations by selecting or studying samples chosen from a population to discover the relative incidence distribution and interactions of variables. So, excuse me, when it comes to a survey research, you're trying to study a population. It could be a small population, it could be a large population. And what you're trying to do is you select samples from that population. And when you select sample from that population, you're able to collect data from that sample. And then after that, you're able to see what are the variables that are coming on, and you're able to study them. The next one is exploratory research. We are saying that these are non-experimental scientific investigation methods. They are aimed at discovering the relations and interaction between variables in real social structures. So exploratory is a method of, excuse me, it's a method of trying to explore. When you're trying to explore, you do not have so much information about the phenomena that you're studying about, but you are going out there to be able to understand that phenomena and in real social structures, so that you see what are the interactions with the variables in that kind of research. And the last one is observation research. Research where the researcher observes what is going on and documents the observation. It's also defined as the current status of phenomena determined by observation. So basically, just like the word, or rather the topic suggests, you are collecting your data through observation. And this one you can do by, watching. So you utilize, let's say, we call them the 5 common sense. You are looking or you're observing, you are listening, you are smelling what is around. You can't be able to touch what is happening. And from there, you are able to collect your data. So observation research method is a classification by type that you as a researcher can choose depending on the kind of research that you are researching about. So all these classifications helps us to be able to know that the research that I am carrying fits here and doesn't fit in this other place. It fits here and not anywhere else. And so there, you are able now to know how to carry it and to carry it diligently. Because remember, just like we said, that we carry out research so that we can be able to solve the problems in the society. And so this one will help you to come up with solutions that you are looking for. So thank you so much for listening to me. Should there be a question, should there be a clarification, kindly write to me and I'll be able to assist. Thank you so much. Blessings.